Hello, my name is Randy Dobson. I'm an instructor here in the Houston, Texas area, and this video will be covering the Autocad external reference, or XREF. It has been around for many years, but it's become more and more usable and more and much easier to manipulate and to work with. Uh, so that you understand what an external reference is, when you insert another drawing into a drawing, they become one drawing. Whereas an external reference is just a reference. You just are using it as kind of a backdrop. Uh, so it is not part of the drawing. So if you ever have to send your working drawing somewhere, you have to include any file that it's referenced. Typically, it's a base plan or a title block. And the reason it's done like that, especially on a title block, is if you can imagine, if you had 100 drawings, and on every drawing on the title block you had to add a date, that could take you, even if it took you a minute times 100, that's 100 minutes. That's an hour and 40 minutes to do that. But with a file that a title block is referenced in to all of those 100 drawings, you just go into that one XREF, put the date, and it's done. Then every time you open up a drawing, it's automatically been updated. So it can save you an immense amount of time. When they first came out, it was more about, and I've done a little chart here, uh, back when before external references. If if you had a house plan, 1, 2, 3, 4, if it was 2 megabytes big, but you inserted the block in here 1 megabyte, well, then it would make 3 megabytes. So each drawing would become 3 megabytes. So 5 drawings would be 15. As opposed to, if you take these 5 drawings, leave them as they are, and they're all XREF'd, this XREF file in here, this is not part of it. So you can do these 5 times 10, add this one. Now instead of emailing 15 megabytes, you're emailing 11. I know that maybe doesn't sound like a big difference, but let's make it 50 drawings. Now you're looking at 50 times 2 is 101 megabytes, as opposed to 50 times 3 is 150. So now you're at 49 less megabytes. So it is an enormous thing. Plus, if any background changes are done, you just change it here and it automatically updates on each of those sheets right there. Now, with that said, when you XREF a file, it's very similar to doing an insertion of a file. The difference is you can actually do PDFs, you can do images that can be attached to a drawing. I'm just going to come over here to layout, and let me close that down. And so now if I come over here to insert, then I'm going to go to attach. Right here, it's asking me where my drawing is, but see, I can do a PDF file, I could do an image file. There's right up here, image file. I could go all images and maybe go to, let me see if I can find something here that, if I can find an image. Let's see here. Let me get back to my group here. Let's go to my pictures. Let's say this right here, this calendar, which is, I will go with this one. I can say that I want to insert it at 00, leave it its own scale, hit OK, and see that is now part of my AutoCAD drawing. Okay, when I list it, it will say that it is, there is its attachments, it's an image. Okay, it's in paper space, and so there it is right there. I could go back to that same attach and go to, let me get to where my title blocks are. Let me see, I'm looking for image files. I need to change this to DWGs, and there we'll go with this one. I believe we'll try this one. I'll hit OK, We'll get rid of that. Let me scale down that image a little bit just so I can work with it. There we go. And some of this stuff you do see me doing on the side, like moving and scaling. This is things you should already be familiar with as an intermediate course student. So here is my title block, and let's just say that I've got a bunch of these here. I'm going to just copy a bunch of them. And these are all XREF'd in. Okay, so if I go back to that drawing, see where it says Lone Star College, I'm going to open up that drawing. Oops, I guess I already have it open. There it is. And I'm going to change it to Lone. Let's just say I'm going to take that space out. We're just going to call it Lone Star. Okay. Let's say I want to change it from Mr. Dobson to Mr. R. Dobson to just Mr. Dobson. Okay, now I'm going to close this drawing down and watch what happens. Over here it's telling me your XREF file has changed. Would you like to reload it? I want you to watch all of these title blocks. When I reload it, boom, they all changed to Mr. Dobson, and Lone Star doesn't have a space in them. So imagine this being hundreds and hundreds of drawings. That's how long it took me to revise all those drawings, just by revising that one external reference. Okay. Now AutoCAD does allow you, which I do not like, to change the XREF while you're in it, while you're using it. I can double click on it and see it's called reference edit. I'm going to tell you as an instructor that I would prefer that you don't change XREFs that way, that you actually go into the file and change them. But you can, when you hit OK and you say you're going to reference it, whenever you're done changing it, let's just say I want to put a little s here. Okay, I can't just close it down. I actually have to go over here to save changes because I'm in another drawing within a drawing. So I go to save changes and watch what happens to all of them. Now they all have the little s in them. So it's just like redefining a block, only here you're not working exclusively within a drawing. You're actually changing a drawing outside of this one. So it can be a little bit dangerous, but I just want you to feel comfortable with it, but know that if you ever double click on a reference file, that you have opened it to edit, and then you have to close it before you can continue on. The XREF also, if you go to layers, properties, here's your XREFs, and it'll show you which files you have, and this shows you the only layers that I have in that file that I brought in. Obviously it had a 0, but the 0 drops off because this one already has a 0 on it. And again, it's really a good tool to use, but you have to understand that that all you have to do is change that one file. When I go outside here, there is that XREF right there. It's a totally separate drawing that I'm kind of taking a snapshot of, and I'm using it in this drawing. Now I'm going to go back up here to this red A again. I go to options. Here you have what's called the fade control for XREF. Now some people like, if you want it to be as bright as it can be, right around 0 is where you want it. But if you wanted it to be dimmer, you move it to the left and watch what happens to the XREF. Well, I'm not sure why that didn't. Let's try it that way. There we go. I did it the wrong way. I'm going to increase the shading and see how it's shaded. So now I can see what is an XREF. Okay, well, any files that I would have in here, not counting this because this is actually a picture and it won't change. But this XREF drawing, as you can see, I made it lighter. So if you XREF one in and you see that it's light, then just go up here to the red A, go to Options, go to Display, and then come over here to Fade Control. And if you want it to be equally dark like everything else, take it real close to 0. And it doesn't have to be exact, it's just somewhere in there. You wouldn't be able to eyeball the difference. You hit OK, and there you have it like that. Um, so, there's different ways that you can use this. Some people XREF they'll XREF in model space, which is where you would XREF in an object. But for your drawing, for your title block or title sheet, you would want to XREF it into your layout. That would be the preferred way. And that concludes my video on XREFing. Thank you.